Morning folks, it's Andy the Expedition Hiker, and today we are by the River Trent, and behind me is Trent Bridge, and today we're walking on the big track. This is a local circular walk which is 9.5 miles in length. It follows the River Trent and we'll pass a few bridges of significance along the way. Then we'll head on to the Nottingham and Beeston Canal and follow it in towards the outskirts of the city, and eventually we'll head back to the River Trent where we are now. So like always, hopefully you'll like to join me on this one. It's going to be interesting like always, so let's get cracking. So these dates are where the water risen to when flooding in the past, as we're at Trent Bridge, and all the different dates. It does say 2000 is the latest one. November 2000 it got up to that level, but I know it's been probably higher than that in the last 10 years. At the moment the river is quite high still. That probably is from the melting snow and the rain that we've had recently. This is, well, as you can see, there's 2 steps here going down. Usually there's about 6 or 7 steps visible. So it shows how high the water is at the minute. In front of me we've got the County Hall, Nottinghamshire County Hall. We're going to follow upstream. There's just something magical about walking in the snow, and especially today as it's nice and bright and it's warming up at the moment, so hopefully it's going to be a good day. Well, we have our first victim of the day. Tried to do a U-turn and now he's doing a spin turn. I take it the term "go with the flow" comes from this, because all these birds are just sitting there floating backwards. Mr. T. Wallace Gordon designed the Memorial Arch and Terrace in 1926. Built of Portland stone, the foundation stone was laid by the Prince of Wales on the 1st of August 1923, and the arch was unveiled and dedicated on Armistice Day of 1926. Queen's Victoria statue was erected here the year of our current Queen's coronation in 1953, placed in the Memorial Gardens, although originally it stood in the Old Market Square of Nottingham from 1905. Victoria Embankment was constructed between 1898 and 1901. In 1920, the Clifton family sold the land to Jesse Boot. Jesse's summer house stood on the south bank of the river, opposite the land he had just purchased. This property was demolished in 1961. He then gave the land to Nottingham Corporation. This is the bandstand. Although originally it was a Victorian wrought iron, painted white. Obviously that's long gone, but now they do like music festivals. It's called the Open Embankment. There's a music festival usually in the summer when we don't have COVID. This is a recent addition. It's a memorial to the First World War. We can't see it at the moment due to the snow, but around this memorial, as every person that died in Nottingham in the Great War, names are along these memorial stones. Wilford Suspension Bridge was originally known as the Welbeck Suspension Bridge, built in 1906 to carry a water main to Wilford Reservoir, as well as transporting a gas pipe across the river and pedestrians. Severn Trent Water now own the bridge and for the right to close the bridge to pedestrians at any time. It spans 69 metres across the Trent, made of steel and ashlar stone. Wilford Toll Bridge, known locally as the Halfpenny Bridge, is now a tram, cycle and pedestrian bridge, although originally opened as a toll bridge in 1870 for general traffic to and from the city of Nottingham. The bridge was closed in 1974 as being unsafe, and in 1980 it became a cycle and pedestrian bridge and then widened in 2015 for the use of Nottingham trams. Before the bridge, the Wilford Ferry operated from here and was in operation for over 400 years. Although in 1784 a tragedy happened here where 6 drowned due to an overcrowded ferry boat capsizing from the strength of a gale force wind. In 1862 Parliament granted a bridge to be built for traffic. This ended the ferry service in 1864. So we're leaving Wilford Ferry Bridge and we're going to continue along the Trent. On our right we'll come past an industrial estate, and next we're heading towards Clifton Bridge. Wilford Ferry Bridge goes into the village of Wilford, and Wilford is actually renowned for flooding quite frequently. Quite often, once the waters are up, you go through Wilford village and it can sometimes be knee deep, as the river is quite wide at this point and the banks aren't very high on the opposite side, meaning that the river doesn't take much to flood into the village. Now, over the last probably decade, we've done a lot of flood defences. So the walk I did a couple of weeks ago, where we follow the River Leen from its source, here is where the River Leen connects to the River Trent. The River Trent is the third largest river in the UK. It starts at Biddulph Moor in Staffordshire and stretches 185 miles, or 298 kilometres. It eventually meets the River Humber and into the North Sea near Hull. The course of the river has often been described as the boundary between the Midlands and the north of England. The name Trent derives from the Roman British word meaning strong flooding. So we're just approaching Clifton Bridge. This is the fourth and last bridge, or main bridge, of the day. And this is the Clifton Bridge. Now this one was built in 1958, I believe. It's made of pre-stressed concrete. On a good day, it has 100,000 vehicles that go over it in one day. It's the second major route out of Nottingham, or out or into Nottingham. The other way was Trent Bridge, and that was the reason why it was built. It needed another bridge to actually contain the traffic. And if this bridge takes 100,000 cars, you can imagine how many cars were travelling over Trent Bridge beforehand. The problem with it is that over the years it's found weaknesses. The bridge was losing its structural integrity to the point that the bridge I believe it's a year ago was closed for the day just to do some repairs, but a day became a week became a month. Obviously with the amount of traffic that caused havoc within the city, and it was actually recorded, I think it was a date in February of 2020, as Nottingham was the most congested place in the world due to the traffic. It was just at a standstill because this bridge was out. So we can see where the repairs are happening. Now they did say this could take till autumn 21 to fix. So what was going to be a one-day repair It's ended up being probably about nearly 2 years of repairs. Just seeing that tower, pylon, there's 2 buzzards just sitting there. It's about the closest I've probably got to seeing a sitting buzzard. And there's one goes. He goes in the other tower. He's probably going to go in a moment as well. We've just left Clifton Bridge. Now we're going to head down towards where the canal meets the river, which is the Beeston Canal. And the snow is going to be deeper. As we continue along the river, you can see a building right over there. Now, just in front of that used to be the John Player factory, but due to decline and healthier living, people have stopped smoking, or more people are vaping rather than smoking cigarettes, trying to live a little bit longer, I presume. The John Player factory has been demolished. Make way for further developments. Now, the vast amount of fields here are sports fields for the Nottingham University. I've walked past these fields a couple of times, different directions. I've probably seen 2 fields being used at one time, but they've got a vast amount of them. But a council estate here, talking about council estates, we'll wander up towards Clifton. Many years ago, I used to play for a football team that acquainted these fields, one of these football fields down here. I don't really play much football anymore, seeing as I've got 2 artificial knees, as in plastic and pins and screws in one, and the other one has had cartilage, and I've got arthritis in that one, and I've also got an artificial shoulder. So, and when I played football, I was a goalkeeper, so there's not much chance with an artificial shoulder I'll be playing much in goal anymore. As we continue walking alongside the Trent, it looks stronger and higher every moment I look at it, quite honest. But up on the left hand side of the Trent is a steep hill, and beyond that is the Clifton campus of the Nottingham University. Now, just past the Clifton campus is Clifton Village, and that's something I've done on a previous walk where we went to Clifton Hall or Clifton Manor. Now, it's got a very historical background, and it's believed to be one of the most haunted places in the country. There was a millionaire that left with his family because he thought that the property was haunted, and previous to that there was a school there, a girls' school. There was mentions of ghosts and paranormal activity happening when the school was going, so it's an interesting place. Its history goes back to, I believe it was the 13th century with the Clifton family, when the last member of the Clifton family, I think it was a lieutenant colonel, he sold the land, or a lot of land around Clifton, which then became the largest council estate in Europe. I was just thinking that this hill is so steep, it could be ideal for sledging today. Mind you, stopping might be a bit of a problem. I think by the time you stopped coming down there, you'll probably be halfway across the river. After watching a video recently by Anthony Johnson, and he talks about why he started YouTube, and I thought that's an interesting question. Why did I start YouTube? Beforehand I was actually just watching other videos. Hey, sorry, I'm just going over a bit of a flood, so I'll just turn the camera around here. And this isn't a lake. This is just floodwater and melted snow. This is just a field. I've just crossed the gap there, and it's just draining down, and then the Trent is just there. So all this water across this lake, well, field that's become a lake, it's going to flood into the Trent in a bit. So why did I start YouTube? Well, I've had the channel now for about 9 months, and I had the channel about 6 months before I actually started doing anything with it. I was just sort of like working, how do I do it? Well, actually I've been teaching outdoor education for 30 years come this year, and through that I've learned a lot of skills and experience and knowledge, and have a few qualifications in the outdoors. So I thought maybe if I put my channel out there and give some tips and skills. I teach a lot of children outdoor skills, and mainly through the Duke Friendly Award. We also teach other outdoor education programs for children and adults. I was thinking, well, if I can set up some videos on how to map read and kit, put in your rucksack and things like that, that would help me for when I'm teaching lessons. It will also help for the students as a refresher. So that was really the main reason I started doing my YouTube channel. From being in the army, I became a navigation instructor. I went out on teaching, well, leading groups on adventure training. When I was based in Germany, I used to go to Bavaria a bit. And over the years, I've managed to get quite a few qualifications in the outdoor education. So I thought the best thing is pass on my skills and knowledge and experience. And I think I've gained quite a lot over the years. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I've been doing it for 30 years, so I think I know quite a bit, but I don't know everything. I'm still learning a lot from YouTube. Things about equipment that people take, technology, how it's improved. So one of the things is that I believe, like the saying, I believe the children are the future. But they are the custodians of the future. So by showing them some skills and hopefully them getting out into the outdoors, then they can take over from us. So they're learning the skills like leave no trace and look after the planet. Might help other people in the future, and it might help our planet. I just want to get more people out into the outdoors, quite honest. Well, this is actually a weir, not that you would guess. It just looks like a raging torrent, which is obviously all the snow is melting and the water is rising. So with the rest of the snow, this is going to be, well, I would guess where I'm standing will be underwater, because I'm guessing this sign here at the back of is not meant to be in the water. I have been here before and it was nowhere like this. It's quite magical actually in a way, but obviously that's a river and it is doing its best to flood. Well, that doesn't look like the best thing to do. There's a lad at about, it must be 4 or 5, and another one about 3 or 4 decided to go ice skating. But I'm nowhere near them. It's like an accident about to happen there. So Beeston on our left hand side and the canal, and then our new lake that we've been past earlier on our right hand side. So my plans for this year and my goals. Well, hopefully I'd like to double up my subscribers. That would be great for my channel. A lot more likes and interactions would be great. Also, got plans to do some more wild camping. We're a bit restricted at the moment with COVID restrictions, what we can do. So I do have some plans for some long distance walking and over the year. Last year I started doing the Pilgrim's Way. Now COVID lockdown stopped that from finishing, so I want to go back and finish that off this year. That's been an interesting one so far. There's a lot of history along that one. It dates back to, I think it's the 12th century. So it started from when Thomas Becket was murdered at Canterbury Cathedral, and pilgrims have been walking that way since. I think there's one more I had planned to do as well. Can't really think what it is at the moment. But on the national trails, I've actually done most of them. Pity I haven't managed to film most of them, as obviously I've only been doing the YouTube for 9 months now. But I've taken photos of a few of them along the way when I did the Northumberland Coastal Path. Pennine Way, I think I've got some photos of that one floating about somewhere, and Southwest Coastal Path as well. So, but I've done, I think there's 19 national trails in England and Wales. As far as I'm aware, I think I've done 17 of them. There's Thames Path Way, I haven't done that one. Obviously walking along the River Thames, or alongside it. And then I've also got Selfridge Dyke Path. I haven't completed that one either. So I think they're the two. Once I've done those, I've done all the 19 national trails in England and Wales. I've done a few of the ones in Scotland, West Highland Way. What was the one in the Highlands I did? Can't remember. Anyway, so we've done a few in the past, but I'd like to get a few more, and I'll obviously video them, and then you can come along for the ride. It seems I've got a bit of a problem. Seems the footpath is now a bit of a lake, so I'm not sure I'm going to cross this bit. Uh-oh. Fortunately we got past the little lake without getting wet, but notice the diversion route I took, and there's a little lake, well, like a brook in a way, so I'm having to walk by the side of the football pitch, and so I can find a path to get me back on the track. One more bridge before we get to the city of Nottingham, I believe. At the moment where I'm walking is level with the River Leen. So the River Leen actually goes just below us here, so the canal is above the river. And we can see here the River Leen following down as it heads down towards the Trent. We've got a dry dock just here. Oh, boat there. It's like Noah's Ark. Nottingham Canal was promoted under an Act in 1792 and designed to help colliery owners near Nottingham compete with the Erewash Canal. The 14-mile, 24-kilometre canal also started at Langley Mill and terminated at the River Trent, but took a more direct route across the county. and joined the river at Nottingham. The first phase of building covered the stretch between the wharfs at Nottingham to the River Trent and was completed in July 1793. But the rest of the canal was not opened until April 1796. The most important traffic on the canal was coal. Other goods carried were gravel, roadstone and manure. The canal was taken over by the Ambergate, Nottingham, Boston and Early Junction Railway in 1855. Traffic steadily declined. It was disused by 1928 and finally abandoned in 1937, except for the 2¼ miles, 3.6 kilometres section that ran from Lenton Chain to the River Trent through the city centre, which was transferred to the River Trent Navigation and is still in use today, which is the part we're actually walking on now. I take it this is a camouflaged patrol boat. I suppose you would paint it blue like the Navy do, or grey, battleship grey, not urban combat. So we're just about to go underneath the rail bridge. We see somebody that's not bothered about a bit of rain. Mind you, if you're in water, I suppose rain's the least of your troubles. Starting to reach a more of a built-up area again as we come to the outskirts of the city of Nottingham. On our right hand side in a moment we have Castle Marina. I suppose even if you live on a boat you have to follow the COVID restrictions, so that's the reason why there's so many boats lined up around here. I mentioned it earlier, but if you're hearing the funny noise, that's my feet. So I've got my spikes on my bottom of my hiking boots to give me a bit more grip with this snow, ice and slush. We've got about, I think it's about 2 miles until we get back to the River Trent, which is where we're finishing today's walk. So it's been a quite pleasant 9.5 mile circular walk. And it's not a walk that actually really needed a plan. Well, it wasn't difficult. Follow the river, follow the canal, the rest. Now I'm sorry that you haven't seen much of my face today. That might be because I've been keeping an eye on where I'm walking with all the slush and snow and the canal and river being by the side of me. I didn't want to fall in it. But I believe the actual sun's going to be coming out again in about next half an hour, although looking at it at the moment it doesn't look that way. It'd be nice to finish the walk the way we started, in the sunshine. Not sure if I'd like to live in a house like that, or apartment like that. It's only 1 room deep. That was about 8 feet wide. There's the castle. It doesn't look like much of a castle. Great exhibition in London. At that time there was no real big museums or exhibition spaces outside of London. So the castle building now was the first Masonic museum outside of London, and that's the reason why it is the shape it is today. Now over the last couple of years it has been closed to the public. They spent I think about £18 million on renovations. Now I did think that they might actually change it to look more like a castle. It's probably the least looking castle you ever see. I believe the actual proper castle, it got partly demolished by in the 14th century and then further demolished around 1642, because the English Civil War started from Nottingham Castle. Charles raised the standard just outside the castle grounds, and then when everybody came to attack Charles, he was long gone, they attacked near enough an empty castle. funny how a canal can separate you from the city life. Just beyond the building on my left hand side is Nottingham city centre, but where I am at the moment feels like a nice tranquil place. Very quiet, we're near nature, we're near water. You can just see over the bridge in front of us, there's vehicles going by, but you wouldn't know it. I mean, it's one of the probably the better places you could go to near the city centre is walk along the canals. And most cities in this country do have canals that wander underneath them, and you wouldn't realise such a nice quiet place surrounds the city centre. Well, this looks a bit steep. These scaffolding steps, that looks steep as hell. And with snow, what could possibly go wrong? Probably end up with a drink at this rate. So as we head back towards the Trent, we have London Road on our right hand side, which is heading towards the River Trent, and also Trent Bridge. And on our left hand side, in a moment, we'll be coming to Notts County football ground. Right guys, we're going to finish this walk just here. We're just back at Trent Bridge. Now we're finished with Nottingham Forest football ground behind us, the city ground as it's known. So if you've enjoyed it, please put a like, add a comment, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Plenty more walks coming along the way. Today's been a magical day. The snow has helped, nice and bright on the big track, the Nottingham cycle and pedestrian circular route. So until next time, see you soon, stay safe, look after yourselves, and bye-bye hikers.